All right, guys, it's this year's Masters episode of the Golf Podcast. This is episode 212. We're recording this on Wednesday, March 28th. We're 1 week away from the eve of the Masters kickoff. But this episode, as you know, our episodes drop on Sundays. You're listening to this most likely, unless you're way in the future and listening to some back episodes, you're listening to this. It's Masters week. It's here. It's the most exciting week of the year for golf as far as I'm concerned. I look forward to it every year. I love the tournament. There's a lot of stuff we're going to talk about. I also love that for me, it kind of signifies spring coming, and the season's starting to really kick off even for our own golf season. It's what gets me really excited and amped to get out there. And here in the Northeast, where we've put our clubs away for way too long, to get back out there, it's great. So we're going to be talking all about the Masters. And also the other thing is we're going to be doing our usual live segment that we do on Facebook now. We're going to be doing a whole Masters rundown on Wednesday of Masters week. So make sure if it's not Wednesday yet when you're listening to this, make sure you hop on our Facebook page, like the page, and turn on those live notifications so you don't miss that. We're going to chat about it. And also the other thing is our Facebook group. As always, if you're not already in the group, just search The Golf Podcast on Facebook. Join the group. It's a free group because I want to get you guys, I want to hear from you, some of your favorite Masters moments. We're going to talk about some of them, our own today. So I want to talk about that, but we have some trending news stories we're going to talk about. I want to talk about some odds, favorites for this week. If you want to place a friendly wager, Mike, maybe me and you can place a friendly wager on this, right? Who's going to win it? Maybe do some trivia. But before we get into all that Masters stuff, I want to catch up on a few things. Mike, take us through some stuff we've got going on right now.
Yeah, so real quick, before we dive into the main subject, we have some vlogs that have dropped on the website and app and YouTube, all the places you could find it, regarding, let's see, the first one was the Bay Hill Pro-Am. If you haven't seen it, definitely check out the video. It's a good one. It's a 20-minute, so get your popcorn ready. But people have been loving it. Thank you for all the responses. And then, of course, the next day we played Grand Cypress, the new course, the replica of the old course at St. Andrews. That vlog is out. Easiest way to watch these, just download the app. It's free, so you can get them there. Regarding Masters, Frank, we're doing an awesome giveaway. It's on Instagram. It's $275 value. Get this. You get a green Augusta polo. You get a tumbler, a beverage tumbler. You get a Augusta pin flag and an Augusta hat. And
who doesn't like a little Masters swag?
Yeah,
right?
I would love, dude. That polo is sweet. I would wear that all week next week. Just everywhere I went. Friday of Masters week. So day 2 of the event is when we are going to announce the winner. It's so easy. Just go to our Instagram page at Golficity, and you search for the post. It's going to be a couple back. Just check it. Look for the. It looks like a photo of all the prizes we're giving away. It's real easy. You just have to like our page, like the page from the guys at MMO Golf. The instructions are there. Easy. You tag a couple of buddies, and boom, you're entered. We'll just pick someone at random.
Yeah, so that winner is going to be selected next week, Friday of the Masters. Yep. So definitely hop in on that. And those guys have been great. We've been doing a giveaway with them every year. They're always nice enough to donate some great stuff for a giveaway. And this year it's even bigger than ever before. Like you said, a $275 prize pack. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. So definitely check that out. Why not? It's free. Get over there and do it. Frank, I want to talk about your new little gift that came in. It wasn't really a gift. You bought it and you spent a lot of money on it. It's right. A gift to yourself.
That's
for
right.
all the hard work you do, right? So we all deserve it. Let's talk about it because I know you're excited. I could see it in your face.
Yeah, man. So I talked a little bit about this a couple episodes back. As you guys know, if you were following along, if you saw the video on either Facebook or on YouTube, Mike and I went to Club Champion in Hackensack, New Jersey a little while back. We got a putter fitting. It was my first ever putter fitting. It was Mike's first ever putter fitting. Long story short, I won't go through all the details because you guys can watch the video, but as part of that, we hit the nail on the head. There was a putter that just worked perfectly for me. Felt great, a lot of confidence, drilled a lot of putts there, and basically it addressed the 3 issues that I had with my current putter, which, again, awesome putter. It just happened to be a hand-me-down. I was playing with a Scotty Cameron Newport mid-slant. And I liked it. I had some success with it. But there was a couple problems. One, it was too long for me. It was just physically the shaft was too long. 2, it had a little bit too much toe hang for my particular stroke. And 3, the offset was not quite enough. So what was happening was, and on the machine, and we got to see that I was hitting with a lot of consistency, hitting the same spot on the putter every time. It just so happened that it was about a centimeter out towards the toe, away from the sweet spot. So that was causing a lot of misses. And ultimately, the reason being predominantly it being too tall, it being too long, and me standing up where my eyes were not over the ball. They were out just a little bit further. So where I was hitting on that club face was where my eyes were directly down over the ball. So that, again, more important than any individual club manufacturer or club itself, more important than that is what the takeaway is: the fitting. And this is where that value comes in, because you could see a putter and it just be the best looking putter on the shelf or whatever it may be, but doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you. Or you could have your current putter and you can make it work better. Sometimes it's just a matter of cutting the shaft down or whatever it may be. So I'm going to keep harping on this. It's something we're going to explore a lot more in the coming summer, is the fittings and how important fittings really are, because I've only recently discovered them, Mike, and they're changing my game.
Right. And here, I don't know if this is a stupid question. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. But if you change a swing, if you go through a swing change or a putter change, or a putting change of some sort, if you switch to a claw grip or if you did something else, would your fitted clubs be obsolete at that point? Would they not be for you?
A simple grip change on a putter shouldn't do that, but there's certain aspects of that. If you're going to make a major swing change, it might. But there's certain things that you're still going to be better off with fitted versus not, because there's some things that are not going to change. Like, for instance, your body, you're not going to get any taller or shorter. So for instance, I was playing with a club that was just physically too long for me, that I could not stand over it properly. So you're going to always be in a better position. Now, you may then, with those swing changes or stroke changes, get to a point where you should be refit. So I also believe in getting refit from time to time. One great takeaway we learned when we were at Golf and Body, that's when we were down there with Pete's Golf doing that fitting. I liked how closely they worked with the instructors. If you remember, they were saying that the nice part of them working hand in hand was that they would share information with the instructors. Same thing at Golf and Body, where they had with the physical work they were doing, the exercise and things like that. They all work together to have that seamlessness. So there, it's smart because the fitter can then speak a little bit directly to what the instructor is doing, and if there's going to be changes, and they can kind of work together on those. So sometimes also, don't forget, it's not a matter of buying a whole new set. Sometimes it can be something that can be done with shaft length, a different grind. We're going to find out more about wedges, which is something we haven't covered too deeply. We're going to talk about that this summer, or flex. There's different ways that they can change the shaft flex, but a lot of stuff that can be done. But anyway, long story short, if you guys remember, one thing I was talking about, the hard part for me, that being fit to a club that was so perfect for me, was walking out of there without having it in my hands. And a large part of the reason was the sticker shock. Bettinardi, one of the best putter manufacturers in the game, and the price tag kind of comes with it. They're made right here in the U.S. In fact, it says right on it, milled in the USA, right on the head cover. They do not skimp in any way, so it is not a cheap putter. The $550 price tag had me a little bit shook. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to do this. Long story short, and it was just like one of those, like, when like everything's going right, we were down at Bay Hill. I remember we were on the bus, right? And we were heading to the hotel or whatever it may be. And all of a sudden Mike taps me and he's like, yo, I just got an email from Club Champion, and they're going to hook you up with a nice discount on that if you still want it. So by all means, it wasn't free. But it was a nice discount. Yes, it was a nice discount. I still dropped, 3 bills on this sucker plus, but to me, it brought it to a price range where I think it's going to be worth it. I've said this before. I'm a person who will invest in equipment when it makes sense. A putter, like, I know myself, I will use the same putter for 5, 10 plus seasons. So I still feel like I spent less on this than I've spent, in the past on some drivers, which don't seem to last that long. And we've talked about before, 40% of your score comes on the green. So if there's any place that I think I'm going to invest, this is going to be it. So the putter came in. It feels awesome. I'm incredibly excited. I was like a kid on Christmas when I got the tracking information, and I I remember yesterday, Mike, I wake up and I'm like, putter day, I got out of bed a little bit quicker that morning.
Yeah, you did. I'm sure you
did.
did.
I track my package. It says signature required, and I'm at work, and I had this thing shipped to my house. I should have had it shipped to the office, have it shipped to the house, and signature required. And I'm like, I'm gonna miss this guy. I just know it. I swung by my house at lunch to see if the UPS guy was around. It was like 1:00, right? Head back to the office. I get an alert at 1:30, attempted delivery. I missed this guy by 30 minutes. So
one extra day.
I signed the thing so he could just drop it on my front porch or whatever. And then, I got it today. So before we jumped on the podcast, I was putting around a little bit in my bedroom here. And man, it feels good. It feels, for me, it feels so much better because toe hang, and we could get into that a little bit more, at some point. I'd love to even bring like a putter, somebody who's a putter fitter on the show sometime to talk about some of these things when we say, what does toe hang mean? What is, blade, mallet, all that stuff. I mean, we've covered it a little bit, but we could dive into it deeper. But I had a little bit more toe hang on my last club, and then this one is face balanced, and to me, just with my particular stroke, it feels perfect. It doesn't mean it's gonna be perfect for everybody, but that's what the fitting is all about. So I'm amped. I'm excited to get this thing out there and use it.
Yeah, man, looks like you got confidence now.
I got some confidence, and I'll tell you what, I just gotta jump back into this because I did get a lot of people kind of jokingly ribbing me in the podcast group about my 42 putts at Grand Cypress. One thing that I will say, although my putting was terrible that day and those greens were incredibly difficult, as with anything, stats don't always tell the whole story. I didn't get into it too deep, but if you really looked at my stats, what was really abysmal that day, and one thing that I've got to work on, it's not just the putting, but my proximity to the hole, I've got to work on that. And that's the other part of the feel that we say comes with time, short game feel. And this is why I like keeping my stats. I don't care how you guys do it. I don't care if you do it pen and paper, Arcos, 18 birdies, whatever works for you. Just keep your stats, because without your stats, it may look at, like, for instance, that I may think I got to spend a ton of time on putting, 42 putts. But then when I looked at it, my, proximity to the hole, it was so bad, I was setting myself up for a lot of putts. Now, in this particular case, because the new course that we played is a lot like resembling the old course, they had huge greens, in so much as that each hole shared a green. There were 9 greens on this course. So every 2 holes shared a green. There was 2 pins. You played one color pin going out, one color coming back in. So although I may have been on the green sometimes, I could be what would be considered the other half of the green. I could have been 100 feet out. So with that speed and those undulations, then I'm leaving myself, the next putt is 10 feet. It's not like I'm leaving myself tap-ins and I'm just chasing the ball around the hole. The other thing too, as part of that 42 putts, there are a certain amount of them that probably should not have been counted as putts. When I read that off on the show last week, I read it right out of my Arcos, which obviously has the putter sensor and is just going to detect a putt is a putt.
But you were off the green.
But there were at least 3-4 times I was off the green, and because of the way that green that was set up, that St. Andrews short grass just leading way up to the greens, there's a lot more times it made more sense to putt than to chip. So there's other things in the numbers as well. I want to make sure I clarified that, so that we could talk about the progress. But no matter what, I'm going to be working on that this whole summer, this whole season. One of the things I've dedicated to, and I think this purchase was part of it. This purchase was part of that dedication to it. I'm going to work on scoring on the green big time. Yeah,
big time. I mean, that's so true. And one thing I've been thinking about in my head, and if we could pull this off, it would be kind of cool. I just don't know how much work it would take, but I would love to have this like ongoing live stats leaderboard just between you and I for accountability, where we can revisit it. Maybe even if it's on Golficity Live, and we could share it and show like Frank's current season proximity to the hole versus Mike's, and 3-putt average versus Mike's, and fairways hit and greens hit. Maybe if we just took a lot of the complicated ones out and put the easy ones in, or maybe we just did the ones where the rounds where we played together, whatever the case may be. I would love it, because you know what? It's more accountability. We could share it, share the numbers. Numbers don't lie. It'll make us get better. It'll make us focus more.
No doubt. And that's why personally, that's why I always use the Arco system, because I like to be very hands off with it. But I know when we're out there, we're simultaneously using that and 18 birdies, because I think they both have their pluses. I like the interactiveness of 18 birdies and having those live scoring, and me and you can keep our score there. And I like the fact that Arcos dives even deeper and starts to pick up all those little nuances and stats. But absolutely, I think that's where we'll have those running totals there, and we can kind of talk about them as we go.
That'd be great.
That's what it's all about. It's about progressing. And again, we talk about this often. If you're new to the show, you may have not heard us say this, but Mike and I, we're not pros. We're not certified golf coaches in any way. We're guys who love learning the game and sharing that. So we feel like if there's something here that's worked for us, if there's some methodology, whatever it may be, something we've learned that worked, we're going to share it here, and hopefully it works for you guys.
Yeah, perfect. I love it. So speaking of equipment, and speaking of, actually, you just said it, you nailed it. You said you're a big believer of investing in golf equipment if it's going to help your golf game. Yep. So there's, I think about that. I think about the golf ball, most important. So I want to talk about that because, and at the same time, I want to thank our sponsors of tonight's episode, Titleist. They are the #1 ball in golf, and they are that for a reason. Frank, before we learned about Titleist products, I want you to be honest with me. Did you really know the true difference between the Pro V1 and the Pro V1X?
No, I didn't. All I knew is that if I found either one of them in the woods, I did a couple of jumping jacks because
right.
Those are always the great find. But no, honestly, I knew very little. I knew the Pro V1 was a bit softer, but I never really knew what set them apart. But Mike, I know you're going to educate me. Talk to me a little
it's coming.
bit.
It's coming. All right,
man.
All right, so we've already established that the ball is the most important piece of equipment in your golf game. I mean, we've talked about it enough times on this podcast over the last 4.5 years. You have to choose the right ball for your game. If you open the average amateur's golf bag, you'll see about 10, 15, 20 balls and probably 6, 7 different manufacturers, right? You'll have your Noodles, your Strixons, whatever the case may be. You need to play a ball that's for you. I don't really see many people just taking out sleeves and just always like this. My same golf partners playing the same kinds of balls, just, fresh out of the sleeve. They're always just playing a mix of stuff. It's pretty obvious that Titleist Pro V1 and Pro V1Xs offer all of us, and that's scratch golfers all the way to 36.4 handicaps, believe it or not. It offers them the ability to score. I mean, the difference, Frank, it comes down to flight, spin, and feel. So here's the history lesson. The V is the longest ball of the Titleist set. It has a faster engine. It has a lower long game spin and a trajectory with a very consistent ball flight. Now, the X, it's equally as long. So it's also their longest ball. And it provides higher launch with these improved aerodynamics. Does that make sense?
That does. So basically, the V has the lower flight and the softer feel than the X, right?
Correct. That's right.
All right. So either way, you quickly experience that both the V and the X have that drop and stop greenside control. That's what we all want. Even, I'm starting to get out there. I'm starting to get that spin back, on the green, man. I don't think there's anything that gives you chills in the game more than that. Mm-hmm. But, I'll be honest. I played a lot of different golf balls over the last 5 years, during this Golficity venture. I've tested a lot of different golf balls from the biggest to the smallest manufacturers. So whether you choose the V or the X, you can't go wrong. Do yourself a favor, this year, try the Titleist Pro V1s, try the Pro V1X, and we're saying it, fitting, right? Same thing with the ball. Find the ball that fits and have that consistency. You keep using that ball because then you're not going to be chasing a moving target when it comes to performance. So the performance is there. Try them. Let us know which one you use. Post it in the Facebook group. We want to hear it. All right, Masters, Mike, it's here.
Yeah, it's here.
Let's start to talk about this a little bit. Okay. We've talked, let's say a couple things. I don't want to do the same show every year, right? Every year we talk about the Masters, but we've talked about different things that particular year, who we think's going to win, all that stuff. We're going to go through all that. But I think one question that we've gotten more this year, and I think it's gotten a lot more play because all the news stories, we even had the news stories on Golficity and in the Golficity app about this being the smallest field in over 2 decades, I believe.
That's crazy.
So a lot of questions have been coming in about the field itself. How is that actually selected? And then we see now, I love that we've got more insight into the, behind the scenes stuff with Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. And you're starting to see guys holding up the invitations. I mean, man, what it would be like to get one of those invitations in the mail. The best invitation to the
that's
Masters.
The invitation.
That is the one, man. That thing would be framed on my wall. But it's kind of interesting. So we saw just recently Terrell Hatton, his funny thing he posted where he got his invite. But a question that I saw a lot of people have was, how do you actually qualify to play in the Masters? Because we even ran some stories about some amateurs who are going to be playing in the field. And then we see some of the older guys playing in the field. So it was interesting of how that works. So I want to quickly run through this qualification criteria. Some of these, you guys, it's going to be very obvious. Some of these, it might be new to you of why it is, but I found it to be interesting. So qualification criteria. These are the ways you can punch your ticket to the Masters. So good luck. Start working on these things and let us know how it goes. Okay.
Yeah, seriously.
First, if you ever won the Masters, if you're a Masters tournament champion, you've got a lifetime invite. Obviously, you can play, and appear no matter where you are in the standings, no matter, in the official golf world rankings, whether you're currently active on tour or not, you can play. That's how we see guys like Freddie Couples, which by the way was in contention last year. Another reason why I love the Masters, to see a guy like Freddie in contention. But even guys like Angel Cabrera, he's in because he's a former Masters champion. The other majors as well. If you're a U.S. Open champion, you got your ticket to the Masters. Now, one thing to say, this is the same rule goes for the U.S. Open, British Open, and PGA Championship. After 5 years after you won, let's say the U.S. Open, the 6th year after you've won, if you don't qualify some other way, you could still play in the field. However, you're considered non-competing. So it's an honorary. You're honorary in the field.
Interesting.
Right. So it says here, U.S. Open champions, honorary, non-competing after 5 years.
So what do you do in that case?
I think you get a nice round at Augusta
during the actual event.
I guess. I mean, I don't know. If
during the pro-am?
No. I don't know if you're not allowed to play after Wednesday. I mean, that's a good question to dive into.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay.
I think it is. I think it's just that you just face the cut line.
Yeah, okay.
Because that's where we see a lot of guys in there. The winners of the Players Championship for the last 3 years are invited. This is a new one. This next one's a new one. The current Olympic gold medalist.
Wow.
So that's
Justin
a great
Rose?
one. You win gold. Now that golf is back in the Olympics, you win gold and you've got 4 years basically exemption into the Masters.
That's pretty cool.
That is cool. Also the current U.S. amateur champion, which is again is honorary, non-competing after 1 year, and the runner-up to the current U.S. amateur champion. The current British amateur champion, again, honorary, non-competing after 1 year. The current Asia Pacific amateur champion, the current Latin America amateur champion, the current U.S. mid-amateur champion, as well as the first 12 players, including ties in the previous year's Masters. So as long as you play well in the Masters, you just keep playing well in the Masters, right? You just keep punching your ticket. The first 4 players, including ties, 4 players here, from the U.S. Open, the British Open, and the PGA Championship. So if you're anywhere T4 or higher in any of those, you've punched your ticket to Augusta. Individual winners of PGA Tour events that award a full point allocation for the season-ending Tour Championship from previous Masters to current Masters. So if you won on tour, basically, you're in, and that's where we get certain guys like that. You always see, like we do fantasy as well, right? So you always see like these guys, whoever, they may not be in the field, but we wait to see who wins at the Houston Open the week before, because the winner, if they hadn't qualified some other way,
that's how they punch their ticket.
This is one way that Ian Poulter is trying to get in.
Yep, exactly.
Right. Those qualifying for the previous year's season-ending Tour Championship. So if you qualify for the Tour Championship, I guess at East Lake, what's that, 30 guys in the FedEx Cup? That's
30
left?
guys. Yep.
Those guys are in.
All 30 at East Lake get in?
Yeah, it looks like all 30. It says those qualifying for the previous year's season-ending Tour Championship.
Wow. Is that new? I wonder if that's new.
It's got to be new, because in general, the FedEx Cup is relative in the scheme of the Masters is new.
That's incredible.
Now, there had been a Tour Championship, but it was structured a little bit differently. So
yeah. Well, what's in there about 2 guys who run a golf podcast? Anything? Or
it
no?
says if your name is Frank or
Mike,
Mike,
then
you're in.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
So you're telling me
dude, there's not even a chance we'll be able to buy tickets to go to this.
I know. You see some of the prices of tickets, just this year.
Ridiculous.
Ridiculous. Also, the 50 top 50 places in the final official World Golf rankings for the previous calendar year, and the top 50 of the official World Golf rankings published the week prior to the current Masters tournament. So this is where an interesting thing comes in. Where we talked about this week was Ian Poulter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Poulter had a really rough stretch where he almost lost his tour card. Remember we were talking about that?
That's right.
Well, he's playing fairly strong again. But last year he was not in the top 50. He doesn't have any other of these points that he's won where he can qualify to get in. He wasn't in the final 30 at the FedEx Cup or any of the other stuff, right? So his only shot to get in. He's got 2 shots to get in because he hasn't won on tour, right, in the past year. He's got 2 shots to get in. Either he wins on tour this week or he performs well enough to edge himself up one more spot. Up because he's as of us recording this, he's number 50 in the official World Golf rank, 51 in the official World Golf.
Oh, he's got to move up one rank.
Move up one rank, and he's in. So
interesting
and funny little story. Just kind of dropped last week where you gotta almost feel for the guy here. He was playing in the WGC Dell match play, and after his where he beat Oosthuizen, if I'm remembering correctly.
Mm-hmm.
He was told, and I'll just read his tweet. He goes, "I was told after this morning's round that I was in the Masters by Golf Channel, the media, and European Tour. Then 10 minutes before I teed off this afternoon, I was told, sorry, points weren't correct. You're not in yet." That's a tough one to hear. And then, obviously after that, the wheels came off for him. He lost to Kisner 8-6. So he thought he was in and he wasn't in. So he didn't play enough. And that's where the match play can kind of get a little bit tricky.
Let me see something real quick. Yeah, he's 51. Siwoo Kim is 50. Siwoo Kim is not even in the field in Houston this week, and 0.03 points separate them. So if Poulter just has a decent week, he's probably going to be in.
You'd think he'd have to definitely make the cut, and
that's for sure. I mean, I think he finishes top 25. He should get in.
Right, and he's used to now playing with under a little bit of pressure because when he was right up against losing his tour card, he had to make the cut in a couple different things. But he's an excellent golfer. I mean, I think
he wants to be at the Ryder Cup and everything.
Yeah, and I'm sure he wants to be there at the Masters. So that's an interesting thing. But the other thing too is it's a limited field. It's only 86, and the reason why it's only 86 is because there's only 86 people who meet that criteria. And that's going to vary from year to year, especially like, for instance, we talked about you had to be in the official golf world rankings in the top 50 last year or this year. Now, if there was a lot of turnover and a lot of switch, you may have a lot of guys who maybe they were in the 50 last year, so they punched their ticket. Now there's different guys in the top 50 this year. In this case, we haven't seen a lot of change in the official, top rankings, top 50. Other places might be, if you get the same guys kind of winning the same things over and over again, the same names, you're going to have less variety, less people who are able to do that.
Right.
So one thing is it's not like a lot of other events. Like, for instance, one person asked the question, well, Koepka is taking, he took himself out of the Masters because of his wrist injury. He's still, healing his wrist injury. Does that open up the spot for Poulter? And the answer is no, it doesn't, because Poulter independently still has to qualify one way or another. He's got to hit one of those points. And as it stands, it's not that there's not a spot for him. There are plenty of other spots in the field. There's only 86 people. It's that he needs to make it into the field by hitting on one of these things.
Yep.
Koepka, obviously from his world ranking and also from his major win last year, he's in, but he's not able to play due to injury. But that does not mean that all of a sudden that Poulter gets bumped and he's in. So I found that to be an interesting thing.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I mean, I'm looking at the odds and rankings. Actually, Siwoo Kim is in the rankings because I guess he's listed as there. Can he be removed? Can you remove someone once you get an invite?
That's a great question. But the thing is, he might not. You'd have to dig in deeper because
he might have earned it a different way.
He may have earned it a different way. Right.
Okay,
So
that makes
let's
sense.
see
And
here.
you know what's funny? Looking at some of these odds. So who do you think? So Rory, Dustin, and Tiger are all 9-1.
Well, hold on. I'm just as we're doing
Yeah.
that, I just got distracted because I'm looking at how Kim got in, and it's saying he. Is this true? Did he win the Players in sometime in the last 3 years?
Siwoo Kim?
Because okay, so these criteria is in order, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth criteria is the winner of the Players Championship, and I just went down to Siwoo Kim to see how he qualified. They said he hits points 5, 18,
That's right.
and
He
19.
won it last year.
So there you go.
Siwoo Kim won the Players Champion last year.
So Kim can't get bumped. He's in the field either way because he won the Players Championship. He's also in the field because he was in the top 50 last year.
Yeah.
And he's in the top 50 now. So even if he loses his top 50 status, he's in for those 2 other points.
And guess who he beat out at the Players to win?
Was it Ricky? No.
Poulter.
No, get out.
It's on Wikipedia. I'm looking at it right now.
That's great.
Not once, but twice you burned me. I love it.
Oh, all right. So sorry I interrupted you. What was the question you had?
The question I had.
I don't know. About Tiger and Rory. Something about Tiger and Rory.
Oh, yeah. I was talking about odds. So real quick, the odds are up to date here. 9-1, Rory, Dustin, Tiger. 10-1, Justin, and Jordan's 14, and Justin, both Jordan and Justin Rose and Bubba are 14-1. So, dude, there's so much great firepower in this lineup. And look at Stenson, who's hot, 35-1. I would put money on where is he? Terrell, no, not Hatton. I mean, Hatton's a good play, but where's the one I was just seeing? DeChambeau, 70-1. And then you got guys like Kisner, 100-1, and get this Larry Mize, 2,000-1.
Well, interesting thing I heard, because a lot of people were saying this is crazy. Why is Tiger a favorite? Vegas favorite. And the one thing that I heard was that the bookmakers, so to speak, they have to put him that way because there's just this anomaly where people love to bet on Tiger. Yeah. And because of that, they can't lose their shirt. They can't
lose their money, right?
Right. So they bump him up a little bit. And plus, it's like it's Tiger, and he's and you know what? He's there. You saw a couple of those Instagram stories and stuff, people spotting him. He's at Augusta. This is what he wants. Dude, this is why he's back.
So pumped for this. It's going to be an epic week. And go ahead.
We've got so many good things like going right now for it. Like you've got Rory getting hot just at the right time again with that win at Bay Hill. I mean, what he did on the back nine at Bay Hill, you played it. How often can we say that, right? You played it, Mike. You know how hard it was.
Yeah.
So the way he tore up that back nine, it just kind of tells me like anything could happen. And also it gives me a really good feel for the ratings this year. We beat another record at Bay Hill because you had Tiger and Rory in contention. And you get Tiger and Rory and some of these other guys in contention come Sunday and forget about it. Mm-hmm. Forget about it. It's gonna blow away the last 5 years of the Masters ratings.
For sure. Totally agree. And I love it. I love every minute of it.
But I think DJ, I'm excited to see because of the fact that he was out of it last year, but the way he performed at match play going 0-3, that concerns me. I don't know, but his game it could
have been sandbagging.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Well, some people were saying that of Rory. So when Rory came out the gate not very strong at match play, people were saying that he was phoning it in that week because he just coming off a win at Bay Hill and the Masters, it's
a lot of excitement after a win, I'm sure.
They just, kind of like just we're going through the paces. I don't know. I feel like these guys are way too competitive to ever just go through the paces. But
listen, dude, when you got for Rory, the only thing on his mind is the green jacket.
Yeah.
So I think the Dell match play for him was just a clinic range session. I mean, if he won it, great. But I just think, he's dialed in on Augusta. I don't even know why. I guess you go out there because you make that ranking and you go. No one really opts out of the bracket matchup Dell match play. It's a WGC event. So I think he just went because he had to. I mean, a lot of those guys, DJ, I think that's the case with these guys. I'd hate to say it, but I think they got their eyes on a bigger prize.
I'm sure in a lot of ways that they do.
Yeah, for sure. But listen, I wanted to ask you this real quick. I'm just going to throw it at you. Favorite Masters moment?
Oh, favorite Masters moment for me, Tiger, 1997. I mean, he ended up winning by, 12 strokes?
Dominated.
It was pure dominance. But it's just one of those things. And I feel like every year with the Masters, it's one of those events where I can always say, I remember where I was,
Yes.
Because I feel like it's so intertwined in like just, from so many areas of my life, being that I love golf so much, and it being that kickoff to the season for the spring, and it just being, I just feel like in general, the Masters is just like a showcase of everything that's great about golf, and it just, if you're a golfer and you don't get chills around the Masters, then I just don't know what you're missing there. But I remember 1997, because I remember that was back when I was playing, a lot more. I was on the high school golf team then, just starting on the high school golf team. And my father, who I talk about a lot on the show here, he's always been big into golf. He's been playing for 35 years, excellent golfer. He still beats me to this day. But I remember that was one of those times I was watching it with him, and I remember Tiger being fairly young then and newer on the scene. And I remember we were both experiencing it from two such different points. I was so new to golf, and it was just like, wow, and like wowed by it. And then there was my father who was just like I think a lot of people who had been watching golf for a long time, and now you see this breakout young kid who's just dominating, so we both were viewing it from different vantage points, but both in our own way, so amazed and stunned by what was happening. I remember even part of that is funny. I think it was on Sunday, the Sunday round, we had to like run over to Dick's for some golf balls. And I remember we were frozen there for a little while watching it on the screens because they had it on the TVs there. Like we couldn't even check out. Like we're like, hold on, because like all of a sudden it was Tiger did something, and he was just starting to really run away with it. And I remember just chatting about it and how we couldn't believe it, and it was one of those awesome things. And what I'm loving too is that you see on YouTube now, they've got the replays of all the Sunday rounds of all the Masters for like the last 20 years. Yes. You can go back and watch that.
Good. So good.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, how about you? Do you have a favorite moment?
I mean, I like more of the recent stuff. I mean, the Spieth win. I mean, I wasn't really into golf a long time ago, back in '97. So, I mean, I only lived those moments through watching the highlights. Tiger's chip on the side of the green, then that just slowly trickled to the hole, and the awkward hug with Stevie Williams and all that stuff. So, and Phil's jumping in the air. I mean, I've just seen clips, but seeing Spieth, seeing Bubba's hook shot out of the woods, Oosthuizen dropping that albatross on that hole. There's a lot of exciting moments in the past couple years that I loved. And they just get better and better. But you know what? When here's something kind of funny, I want to throw this out there. This might get a little awkward for a second, but I heard that a lot of guys, pretty smart, they will actually set up their vasectomies on the Wednesday before the Masters. Because they have Thursday, Friday off to recover, and then on the weekend you don't have to do any house chores because you're laid up. So you basically get the whole Masters to yourself. 4 straight days. I think it's genius. If I did it that way, Frank, I would probably hire Jim Nantz to come in the room with me and just talk me through it. And I'd play the Masters music over the speakers while I'm under the anesthetic.
The things we'll do to watch the Masters uninterrupted.
Sorry to throw that out there, but I heard that today in the office, and the guys were laughing about it, and I said, yeah, it's pretty smart.
That's funny.
Oh man, but anyway, let's.
But yeah, there's been so many moments. Even you and I, the last couple of years, we've gotten together to watch them.
Yes,
I remember it was in your old house before you had moved.
That's right. We did. We had a barbecue.
We got together for a barbecue. Yep. And we watched. I remember that one where it was just coming right down to the wire. Angel Cabrera and Adam Scott, and then in the rain, and that famous picture of Adam Scott. And it's just. We watched not too long ago. We watched Tiger kind of blow up at the Masters. I think that was going back 4 years ago now, maybe 5 years ago. We watched, unfortunately, Spieth kind of blow up. So there's just a lot of weight on this thing, and it's just. It's something, but I remember Bubba's dominance. I mean, to speak about that, like he's got two green jackets now, right? We talk about a lot of times when we do fantasy, we talk about course form, guys who just play well at certain courses. I mean, every golfer is like that. There's certain golf courses that you and I play better at than others because they fit our game.
Big time.
Augusta is one of them for Bubba, but there was so many question marks the last 2 years with his performance in general, and a lot of those have been erased. I mean, the way he's playing right now, 2 wins already under his belt. I remember when Bubba was saying if he ever hit 10 wins on the PGA Tour, he would retire.
He'd retire.
Right. Yep. Now he's got picked up 10 and 11 just this year.
Right.
So I think if he continues to play that way, it's going to be strong. You've got, like I said, Rory is coming on again. This could be one one for the ages. And I know if you're like me, I'm sure you will too, Mike. You're going to be catching every minute of it. I love now that you've got that Masters app. It plays the music when you open it. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And I've got that on my iPad, my iPhone. So even when I'm at work, Thursday, Friday, I'm catching as much of it as I can. I'd love to find a productivity study among golfers of how much work gets done on Thursday and Friday, the Masters.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt it's much, but I love the fact that we can still catch it.
Dude, I'm taking my kids to the Crayola factory on the Friday of the Masters. What's up with that?
Dude, did you not look at a calendar? What happened?
You know what? I didn't even realize it. My wife said, "Let's take it's spring break. Let's take."
You've got that Masters baby.
That's right. So it's actually her birthday that day. That's why we're going. So
because I remember I was like nervous for you. I remember when she was born last year, and I'm like, dude, you know the Masters is going to be on. Are you going to be able to put this on in the hospital, or is your wife going to kill you?
That's right. Yeah.
Otherwise, I feel like I'd be like GC Tiger Tracker. I'd have to be like messaging you everything that happens.
Yeah,
it would be your very own Tiger Tracker.
Tiger Tracker. I love it. But no, it's fine. As long as I'm in front of that TV on the weekend, I will be happy. But you know, it's funny. I dug deep in the archives. Episode 28. We did 10 fun facts about the Masters. April 6, 2014. Check it out. That's a good one. That's a fun one. That'll rile you up for next week or this week because you'll be listening to this then. But check this out, Frank. Chris McEwen, one of our writers, he's one of our product reviewers as well. He put together this fun little video. We're going to be putting it out next week on Instagram. It's like rumors about Augusta National, and it's pretty cool, right?
It is. I always love his videos. I love what he's been doing with these things. They're these fun, like under 1 minute, just snippets of information, which is always my favorite.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not really sure about the validity of these. I don't know if they're true. They could just be rumors, but I'll give you a couple quick bullets. There are underground vacuums and heating elements underneath the greens. What do you think?
If I'm rating them, I'd say that one's probably the highest chance of being true because there's no expense that's spared at Augusta.
Right.
The other thing too is, well, we'll never really know is because they keep everything very tight to the chest at Augusta. You know, everything from the policies being different about cameras. I mean, you've seen the phone banks, right? Where you can't have your cell phone in there. They got the phone banks. Even with some of the simulators, if you notice on all the simulators, you can't play it because they don't even license it out for people to go out there and map this thing.
Tiger Woods for PlayStation, I think, is probably, from what I heard, the only place you can experience it. But the other one is the rumor that they dye the ponds blue to hide algae. I could see that. That seems like an easy thing to do, right?
Yeah, that could be.
They freeze the azaleas to keep them in perfect bloom. Strange, but I could see it.
You know, because they're so important
it's a lot of
to
work,
that TV
right?
coverage. I mean, it's just like anything, like Hollywood smoke and mirrors, so to speak. You know, they got to do certain. But yeah, because don't forget, they've got to make that place like show ready. You know, every year, and they're dealing with different things. I remember some years where we had the cold streaks a little bit longer. I remember we've had long droughts, and people are wondering like what Augusta is going to look like.
Was that when they had was it the Masters when they had the round where no fans came? There was a storm. But they still played the round. It was quiet. There was no fans because trees were down. That might have been Torrey Pines.
Yeah,
sorry.
I doubt you're ever going to get a situation where people aren't going to show up to the Masters. They show up there no matter what it takes.
It was a matter they weren't letting people in, a safety hazard. But I think that was Torrey Pines. But anyway, so speaking of smoke and mirrors, spray painting the greens. I'm unsure about this one. I don't know. I mean, right? These golf balls would just be green, green, green everywhere.
You know what? I always think there's certain things that there's elements of truth, but they get a little bit exaggerated like anything. Most likely what they do is they touch them up a little bit. They if there's a certain spot that needs a little touch up,
a little patch up right there.
It. But one thing I did see, I can't remember now where I found it. Otherwise I'd share it in the show notes. But there was somebody who was demonstrating how they repair the ball marks, and they've got like this, like, it's not like us where we walk up there with a T or something and try to prop it up. They have like this, the tools they use, and they just kind of like, it's like it never happened, the ball mark. Like that's really cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. This one is, they say that CBS actually pipes in the bird chirp noises for effect.
That I've heard many times. And I that could be true because it's just too perfect. You know what I mean? Just too
And
perfect.
and lastly, of course, Jim Nance's voice is real. We just threw that one at the end for fun because when you hear his voice, you always just think about that opening clip. Hello, friends.
Yeah.
So goosebumps indeed. This week it's gonna be fun. Can't wait.
Yeah, I know. I just, like I said, I get chills as soon as it starts, but I want to hear too. I want to hear everybody out there. I want to hear your take on this. Make sure you jump in the Facebook group. Just search on Facebook, just search the Golf Podcast, hop in the group. Let us know what some of your favorite Masters moments are. I mean, who doesn't like sharing that? So that's always a little bit of fun. And I'm sure the group is going to be wildly active all this week, all Masters week, chatting about what's going on, sharing some clips and stuff that's going on. So definitely check that out. If we get a chance, Mike, if you and I get a chance to get together, which we still actually don't have solidified the plans, but if we get a chance to get together and watch a little bit of it, maybe we'll do a
There's
live.
no shot in that happening. You know that,
know.
right? I mean, I love the optimistic attitude on the other end of the microphone here, but your two kids and my two kids. Let's try it. Let's try to get together and watch it.
We're gonna try. Unfortunately, when we collectively between the two of us, we've got 4 girls under the age of 5 and under. Right.
Yeah.
So
man.
As you can imagine, our lives are quite busy.
Well, listen, I have an idea. On that Sunday, just tell them that you are going grocery shopping. I'll meet you at a local bar. I'll give the grocery shopping excuse. We'll get the groceries the night before, keep them in the car, and
until our wives see us on live.
Yeah, exactly.
Be like, yeah, you idiots, you were on live. We know where you were.
Maybe they won't know. I don't know.
Maybe not.
Whatever. We'll figure it out.
We will. So if we do get together, I want to see if we can do a little something on live in the Facebook group or whatever it may be, so we can chat about it. We've got some really cool green jackets to debut this year.
Yeah,
we're gonna have a little fun with that. We'll be doing that on Instagram as well. We'll be doing that on Golficity Live this week. So again, if you're tuning into this on Masters Week, make sure you follow us on Facebook and on Instagram especially, and then I'm sure we'll be working the Twitter as well while we're watching the Masters. So make sure you check out, engage with it, let us know. We want to hear it. We want to hear what you guys think. But that's everything I have. And now let's just get ready, get amped up. We still technically, when we're recording this, we still have got the Houston Open to see how that plays out this weekend. But as soon as that's done and wrapped up, we're switching to all in on Masters mode. I can't wait. Like I said, for me, it's not only is it I feel like it's the real kickoff truly for major season on the PGA Tour, but more importantly, I feel like it's the kickoff every year for my golf season, because by the time you reach April, we are, if not already there, we are very close to the golf courses starting to open again, start get rid of these temporary greens and start to get back out in the swing of things. So it's exciting from a fan standpoint, but it's exciting from a golfer standpoint to finally feel like we're getting back out there.
Yeah, I cannot wait.
Yeah, same here. All right, so that's everything we have for you guys. Make sure you check out the show notes by going to golficity.com/episode 212. Join the Facebook group, hop in there, introduce yourself, let us know who you are, and let's start chatting a little bit about the Masters this week. All right, we'll see you all soon.